Yo, what's up everyone? This video we're looking at the Thursday night showdown video. We have the Redskins going into Minnesota to take on this red hot Vikings team. Adam Thielen is going to miss this game, which is going to make it a lot easier to kind of just lock in all your Vikings guys. You know, they're already a pretty condensed offensively. You know where all the production's coming from, and now without Thielen, I think that's going to be even more of the case. But let's break it down here. You can drop a like down below and subscribe if you haven't already. The last couple of showdowns, you've had like just one team absolutely dominated. The Cowboys dominated the Eagles, and then last week the last game, the Patriots dominated the Jets. And I could see a similar thing happen this week. Just the Redskins have just been so bad offensively. Last week they played in like a hurricane, but they still couldn't really move the ball. Neither could the 49ers, but Keenum is facing his former team, so he has a little bit of revenge there probably on his mind. So if you're into narratives, you could go there, but I think the Vikings are clearly going to win this game, and I think they'll win by multiple scores, multiple touchdowns. Dalvin Cook is 19.5. He's really expensive, but I think he's probably the most safe play on the slate. Him and Cousins has also been playing very well. I think if you want to get creative, you could fade one of them, just because I think unless Cook catches a couple touchdowns from Cousins, I think most of the time you're going to have one running back's going to have a monster game and one quarterback's going to have a monster game, unless they put up 42 points like they did last week. But I think Cousins has been playing really well. He's facing his former team too, so it's both quarterbacks are facing their former teams. I like Cousins way more than I like Keenum though in this one. Diggs is now the number one guy. He's been playing super well last week. With Adam Thielen went out, he just continued. He picked up right where he left off against the Eagles. He's the best receiver play on the slate, followed by Terry McLaurin. Last week, don't really look at his numbers too much because they only threw the ball like a dozen times. So you can't really look at that, but he definitely has game-changing speed. He might be covered by their best corner, Xavier Rhodes, so that is a little concerning, and he is not very cheap. Keenum at 8K, he's probably going to throw the ball a lot here. I expect him to be down. He hasn't looked very good the last couple times out there, but I think he has a decent floor just because he's going to have to throw the ball a lot, as I expect them to be down. I think you can make a case for the Vikings defense. Johnson is going to take over for Adam Thielen, and he took over last week, and he had 8 targets. Played really well out there. He's cheap. I definitely like him as a value play. Peterson, another guy. This game has revenge on both sides, just a ton of revenge. Now he's facing his former team in Minnesota. I just think that people might probably play him just because of that revenge, but I just don't think they're going to be able to run the ball that much. Peterson has looked pretty slow this year. The Vikings are a really good run defense. If he's going to be a little popular because of that revenge scenario, I'll definitely just pass on him. I think you can go Kyle Rudolph, who is going to get more looks without Adam Thielen. He had 6 targets last week, which was the most he's gotten all year. And then if you think that Terry McLaurin is going to have a tough matchup, you could look to some of his other receivers. They're both a lot cheaper. Paul Richardson, they're obviously not as good, but they can still, on these showdowns you're looking to get unique, I think they're going to be a lot lower owned. So Richardson hasn't really done anything the last couple weeks. Maybe Trey Quinn, who's really cheap at 3,600, could at least do a little bit more than him. And then Hopkins hasn't had much reason to kick the ball this season, as they haven't been able to score a lot of points. I think that'll probably be the case on tonight too. And I don't think there's any really $200 punt play that we can go with here. So I think you're going to have to pay at least over $1,000 if you want a player, I think. So let's look at some builds here. It's pretty, don't have to talk a lot about this. It's pretty clear cut of where you want to go. You want to get your Vikings in there. You want to get maybe 1 or 2 Redskins, I think. Definitely be stacking up the Vikings in this one. So let's see. If we go Cousins here, pair him with Diggs, pair him with his other receiver, Johnson, you're left with like 4,900. You're not going to be able to really stack up everybody on the Vikings, get all the 4 top guys. So you could fade Cook in like a lineup if you make a bunch or a couple lineups, just because, and hope that Cousins throws all the touchdowns in this one. But 4,900, you could even go with like Rudolph here. You could go with the Vikings defense, and then $2,600. Wendell Smallwood is going to have to play a little bit more this week. He could be a low-owned play that pans out at just 1,800. So that's definitely an option you can go. Or you could probably get up to Quinn, and then you probably can put Diggs at captain, who is a lot cheaper than Cousins, but you're still a little bit short here, $500. Maybe we'll kick out Adam or Kyle Rudolph. Still can't really do much there, so let's see where we can go. Maybe instead of the Vikings defense, can try to get Keenum in there at 8,000, and that will definitely have to go cheap here and get Kyle Rudolph out. Maybe pair him with like a sprinkle here as tight end. If you think this game is going to be a little bit more competitive, this is how you can do like a 3v3. If you think it's going to be a blowout here, you could probably put the Vikings defense at captain here. We've had the Patriots defense has probably taken down a couple showdowns at captain already this year. The Vikings defense can. Cousins has, not Cousins. Keenum has thrown a bunch of interceptions, 4 interceptions, and he's lost a couple fumbles too, and he hasn't even played like all the games. So he's definitely turnover prone. This defense can definitely feed off of that. And it's going to be tough to get all these guys because there's not a cheap guy that you can go with really here with confidence. So that just sucks a little bit. So we'll see if we can go with Johnson, but still get all the other guys that we want, like Johnson, Rudolph, 5,200. Take a chance on Richardson as like a one-off play. Definitely think the Vikings are gonna take care of business here against the Redskins. So I don't even want to do like a full Redskins stack. I think that's just insane. Do one lineup with Dalvin Cook just because I feel like I have to, because he has that much upside. If you go Cook here, Cook, Diggs, Johnson at 62. See who their third wide receiver is going to be. Maybe could be a nice value play. We'll look at Johnson. Treadwell is just not very good, so it's not very appealing at 38. He has like one catch on the entire season. And the Vikings don't really go with like 3 wide receivers. Even when Thielen's healthy, it's usually Thielen and Diggs that get all the looks from Cousins. So 6,600, we'll probably have to go to Rudolph. I don't really mind that. Probably see if we can put Cook at captain here. And then 3,900, we can just go with the kicker here, Dan Bailey, and go with Quinn or go with Sprinkle. So this is how you can play Dalvin Cook if you want to get up to Cousins here at 12,000. It's gonna be, you're gonna have to definitely make some maneuvering. Alexander Madison could be a low-owned play, but he's not very cheap at 4,400, which I don't really like. But yeah, I think do this. You can probably go, instead of going Bailey, go with Sprinkle here. Just get a couple Redskins because they are going to have to throw the ball a lot. And you're still just $100 away from Kyle Rudolph, which stinks. See if there's any other thing we can do, which is probably switch up the captain, obviously. We can put Cousins at captain. And then go with Dalvin Cook, and now you're pretty much set here. And now it's even better because we can go with Dan Bailey and just have Sprinkle as a one-off. Maybe he can catch a couple passes just because they're very, very banged up still at tight end with Vernon Davis. I think he's out. And, yeah, the other tight end hasn't even played all year. So Jordan Reed, I think he's definitely on IR. So it's kind of what I'm liking for the showdown. It's definitely going to be a Viking stack for me. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And good luck on this one.